The Young and the Restless spoilers shock Monday full episodes March 31st. Under the soft glow of a setting sun over Genoa City. The atmosphere was buzzing with an unusual mix of anticipation and celebration. The long-awaited reunion between Chelsea and Adam had finally taken place, and as the evening unfolded, Victor's delight was unmistakable. With a grand gesture of unity, Victor led the group in a toast. Uncorking bottles of vintage wine and raising their glasses high, a symbolic gesture marking not just a reunion, but the promise of new beginnings. The air was filled with laughter and light conversation as friends and family gathered together. Victor, a steadfast pillar in the community, couldn't contain his joy. His eyes shone with pride as he looked around the room, where old grudges seemed to dissolve into moments of shared happiness. The reunion of Chelsea and Adam was more than a romantic rekindling, it represented hope, growth, and the possibility of mending broken relationships. At one point during the celebration, Victor casually revealed plans for a forthcoming wedding. The news came as a surprise, a tantalizing glimpse of a future that none had fully anticipated. However, in the midst of the excitement, both Adam and Chelsea appeared momentarily taken aback, their thoughts anchored in the present rather than in any distant future celebrations. They were caught in a moment of self-reflection, realizing that while the idea of a wedding was heartwarming, it was not the focus of their immediate reunion. Instead, they were more interested in embracing the opportunity to rebuild trust and rediscover each other's strengths. In quieter corners of the gathering, Nikki and Victoria shared a private conversation with Chelsea. Their expressions were thoughtful, their tone measured as they discussed the layers of complexity that came with every change in relationships. Despite the cautious undertones of their conversation, Chelsea felt a deep sense of reassurance. Looking at Adam, she saw not just the man she once knew but someone who had matured through the trials of life. His newfound stability and the way he carried himself with quiet confidence spoke volumes about the internal transformation he had undergone. Meanwhile, Adam, ever the candid predictor, leaned towards a light-hearted moment of banter. With a sly smile, he predicted that Nick might eventually return to Sharon Newman and settle down with her in a modest little house, a stark contrast to the dramatic lives they all led. However, Nick, who had long been the subject of gossip and speculation, casually dismissed the notion. "That's just wishful thinking," he remarked with a hint of amusement, choosing to understate any serious expectation of such an outcome. The interplay of these predictions and rebuttals served as a reminder of how unpredictable and fluid relationships in Genoa City could be. Later that evening, the scene shifted to a cozy, bustling coffee shop where Nick and Victoria found themselves in deep conversation. The warmth of freshly brewed coffee served as the perfect backdrop for their exchange about Adam's recent reunion. "At least he's more balanced now when he's happy," Nick observed, his tone reflecting both genuine concern and relief. Victoria nodded in agreement, her eyes reflecting a mixture of skepticism and cautious optimism. Their discussion underscored the ever-present undercurrent of change, how each personal milestone not only altered individual lives but also subtly reshaped the dynamics of their community. As the Friday episode of YNR began to air, viewers were treated to yet another twist in the unfolding drama. In her signature forthright manner, Nikki issued a stark warning to Victor about the increasingly toxic relationship between Adam and Chelsea. Nikki's words, though laced with care, carried an undeniable weight of concern. She reminded Victor that beneath the surface of every happy reunion could lie a deeper, more destructive pattern, one that had the potential to undo the very progress they had all worked so hard to achieve. Her caution was a call to vigilance, a plea not to be blinded by the superficial glow of reunion and celebration. Back at home, as Chelsea and Adam returned from the celebration, a quiet moment of introspection followed their journey. Chelsea's mind wandered back to Victor's unwavering support throughout the tumultuous years. In her heart, she was convinced that Victor was not only a benefactor of their personal dreams but also the community's strongest ally. His support was like a beacon of hope in a sea of uncertainty, guiding them through the challenges that lay ahead. The sense of security she felt was palpable, a reassurance that, despite the complexities of their relationship, they were not alone in their fight for happiness and stability. Adam, sensing Chelsea's inner reflections, embraced her gently. With a confident smile, he promised that they would overcome any obstacles that came their way. "I'm certain that we can win over even the staunchest of naysayers," he assured her. His voice carried a promise of perseverance and a steadfast belief in the strength of their bond. It was not merely about proving others wrong. It was about affirming their own belief in a future where love and trust could flourish unimpeded by past grievances. In the unfolding narrative of Genoa City, every interaction, every whispered conversation, and every carefully measured toast was a thread in a larger tapestry, a tapestry woven with themes of renewal, conflict, and the perpetual dance between hope and caution. Victor's unbridled joy, Nikki's wary vigilance, Nick's quiet humor, and the evolving dynamics between Adam and Chelsea painted a picture of a community in constant motion, where each individual's choices reverberated through the lives of those around them. As the days passed, the community prepared for more than just celebrations and reconciliations. Behind closed doors, strategies were being forged, alliances strengthened, and hearts mended. Victor, ever the unifying force, continued to champion unity even as the undercurrents of toxic patterns threatened to disrupt the newfound harmony. Nikki's warning, though unsettling, served as a reminder that every relationship in Genoa City carried its own set of complexities, a blend of past pain and potential redemption. In time, Adam and Chelsea's relationship would undoubtedly face more scrutiny and challenges, but their commitment to each other, bolstered by Adam's promise and Chelsea's belief in Victor's support, set the stage for a transformative journey. Their reunion was more than a mere rekindling of old flames, it was a declaration of resilience. A statement that even amidst the chaos and unpredictability of life, love could indeed be a stabilizing force. Through every toast and every shared smile that evening, the citizens of Genoa City witnessed a moment of clarity, a moment when hope triumphed over despair. And the bonds of family and friendship were celebrated with the warmth of shared wine and heartfelt promises. As the celebration wound down and the night deepened, the echoes of that joyous toast lingered, a gentle reminder that in a world filled with uncertainty, there is always a reason to believe in the power of togetherness and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Under the dim glow of a street lamp outside the Abbott Communications building, the tension between Phyllis and Billy had reached its boiling point once again. Phyllis's eyes, usually so calculating and controlled, now flashed with a mixture of betrayal and exasperation. "Billy," she demanded, her voice wavering between hurt and anger, "why do you do this to yourself again? Why must you constantly put yourself in these compromising positions?" Her words hung in the chilly night air, each syllable laden with disappointment. Billy's expression hardened for a moment as he shifted his weight, clearly troubled yet determined. "Phyllis, it wasn't entirely my choice," he began cautiously, the weight of his recent actions evident in his tone. "Aristotle Dumas contacted me. He presented an opportunity, a business proposal that, on its surface, seemed too lucrative to pass up." Billy's admission was met with a sharp retort from Phyllis, whose skepticism was as unmistakable as her elegant attire. "I want to do this with you," Phyllis insisted, her voice rising as she recalled their past endeavors, "and you've convinced everyone that you're the honest one. I don't want to be involved in this time, I truly trust you." Billy. Her words, though filled with hope for their partnership, carried an undercurrent of disbelief. How could someone she had once relied upon be so easily swayed by external influences? Billy's eyes met hers steadily as he replied, "It's going to happen regardless of whether you participate or not." His tone, a blend of resignation and pragmatism, hinted at the inevitability of his choices, driven by forces far beyond a simple whim. Phyllis, still reeling from the shock, pressed further, "What exactly did Dumas do? Are you that easy to manipulate, Billy? Her question sliced through the cold night, exposing the raw nerves of betrayal. Taking a measured breath, Billy attempted to clarify. It wasn't about power or a grab for control, he explained softly. This isn't some ego-driven scheme. What Aristotle proposed was a shrewd business decision. It's calculated risk, something that, in our line of work, isn't uncommon. His words, meant to reassure, instead deepened the fissure between them. Phyllis's face softened, a flicker of understanding breaking through the initial storm of anger. After everything I've been through, I've come to realize that life's too short to hold on to revenge and hatred, she admitted. Her tone reflective. I'm tired of this endless cycle of self-destruction and manipulation. Yet, even as she voiced her newfound wisdom, the pain of past betrayals lingered in her eyes. Billy, ever the pragmatist, leaned in closer. Listen, this agreement with Aristotle is about more than just survival, it's about progress. Abbott Communications is only a startup right now. But if we merge with Chancellor, we'll outpace Newman Media by a long shot. His voice carried a note of urgency, a promise of transformation that was hard to ignore in a world driven by competition. Phyllis's voice trembled as she shot back, honestly, Billy, this company woke me up when I was trapped. But now, you're tearing the rug out from under my feet once again. Why do I still trust you? Her words were a plea for consistency, a reminder of the promises they had made to each other long ago. It was a moment where personal loyalty clashed with the harsh realities of business, leaving both of them to confront the fragility of their trust. The conversation, heated and raw, came to an abrupt pause as Billy left the meeting with Phyllis and made his way back home. The cool night did little to ease the turmoil that churned inside him, a mix of ambition, regret, and the burden of decisions that would define the future of Abbott Communications. At home, in the solitude of his dimly lit study, Billy tried to piece together his thoughts when the sound of his phone broke the silence. Sally Spectra's name flashed on the screen, a call he knew he couldn't ignore. When he answered, her tone was brisk and direct. Billy, I've heard about your latest trouble with Phyllis. It's all because of this Aristotle Dumas character, isn't it? She inquired, her voice laced with a mixture of concern and frustration. Sally, always the voice of reason amidst the chaos, had sensed that something was off. She needed to know exactly what kind of business deal he had made with this enigmatic figure. Billy exhaled slowly before replying. I hope you can trust me when I say that I know what I'm doing. His voice, though steady, revealed a hint of defensiveness, a silent acknowledgement that his decisions, though calculated, might not be enough to erase the doubts of those who cared about him. He continued, this isn't about being manipulated or falling for a quick scheme. Aristotle's proposal is a strategic move, a business decision that, if executed properly, will secure our future and position us far ahead of Newman Media. Sally's voice softened slightly as she processed his words. I just worry, Billy. Every time you make these deals, it feels like you're walking a tightrope. And one misstep could bring everything crashing down, she said, her concern evident. I need to understand what's at stake here. Her question, though indirect, was a plea for transparency, a desire to see the man she believed in, unclouded by the allure of quick success. In that quiet moment, with the weight of his choices pressing down on him, Billy struggled to reconcile his ambition with the fragile trust that had once defined his relationships. He knew that every decision he made not only impacted his own destiny but also the lives of those who depended on him. This deal is more than just about money or power, he finally confessed. It's about creating a legacy, about proving that we can rise above the setbacks that have plagued us for so long. The conversation with Sally lingered in his mind long after the call ended. He thought of Phyllis, of her mix of fierce loyalty and disillusionment, and wondered if he could ever bridge the gap between his calculated moves and the raw human emotions that defined their intertwined lives. Was it possible to achieve success without sacrificing the trust and integrity that had been the cornerstone of their past? In the days that followed, As the office buzzed with speculative whispers and cautious optimism about the future of Abbott Communications, Billy found himself at a crossroads. His dealings with Aristotle Dumas had set in motion a series of events that threatened to upend not only the business landscape but also the personal bonds that he had so carefully nurtured. Phyllis's words echoed in his mind every time he reviewed the details of the proposal, a stark reminder that ambition and trust were often at odds in the high-stakes world of media and communications. For Phyllis, the revelations forced her to reevaluate her own priorities. Despite the sting of Billy's repeated missteps, she couldn't shake the belief that beneath the surface of his audacious decisions lay a spark of genuine potential, a spark that had, at one point, inspired her to believe in the possibility of redemption. Yet, as she scoured the details of the business deal and grappled with the implications of Aristotle's involvement, she found herself caught between a desire for stability and the recognition that some risks were inevitable in the pursuit of a greater vision. As the tension continued to simmer behind closed doors and in whispered conversations across boardrooms and late-night coffee shops, one thing became clear. The future of Abbott Communications, and perhaps even the fate of long-standing alliances, depended on a delicate balancing act. Billy's unwavering confidence in his strategic choices clashed with Phyllis's call for emotional accountability, and as each side presented its case, the stakes grew higher. In the midst of this corporate chess game, Sally emerged as a critical voice of reason. She watched as Billy navigated the turbulent waters of ambition and trust. And she knew that the success of any deal would hinge on his ability to reconcile his business acumen with the human connections that had always been at the heart of their endeavors. "You need to remember," she had warned him, "that no deal is worth sacrificing the very things that make you, you." With each passing day, the fallout from Aristotle Dumas's intervention rippled through their lives, a reminder that the path to progress was rarely free of conflict and that every bold move came with its own set of consequences. In the quiet moments of reflection, as Billy stared out at the city skyline from his office window, he was forced to confront a harsh truth: ambition, while necessary, was a double-edged sword that could either carve a path to greatness or leave a trail of broken trust in its wake. And so, in the interplay between calculated business decisions and the enduring need for personal integrity, the story of Abbott Communications continued to unfold, a story marked by risk, redemption, and the unyielding hope that even in the midst of betrayal and uncertainty, there was a chance to rebuild what had been lost.